video, this is the 10th episode of Elevate with Ankara, and I will be sharing with you our next garment in the series, which is an Ankara spring dress. But first, if you're new to my channel, welcome, and if you're a returning person, thank you so much for your continued support. Before we get into this video, I do want to apologize. I lost the beginning footage of my video somehow, so I'm having to voice over a photo at the beginning of this video. I wanted to let you know that I selected several patterns, broken them up into categories, starting with easy, moving into button up, and lastly midi/maxi length dresses. All right, let's get into it.
We have a few that I would say are in the easy category. We have button-ups and we have midi maxi dresses. I think all of the selections that I chose would be fantastic on Ankara, and I can't wait to share them with you. After you watch this video, be sure to head over to Talisha of Creativity by T's channel, and I want you to check out two of her videos. One being her garment reveal for her Ankara jacket, and then also her recommendation for the spring dress patterns. Okay, all right, let's jump into the easy category of these patterns. The first pattern I want to share with you is Simplicity 9012. I love this pattern and I think it would be fantastic in Ankara fabric. One of the reasons why I love Ankara fabric is that for patterns that have volume in them, like this dress and the sleeves on this dress, cotton definitely helps to hold that shape, and Ankara fabric does a fantastic job of showing off details like this. So I really think that this is a fantastic pattern. It's also a good pattern for someone who just started sewing because it doesn't require a ton of challenges like zippers and buttons, but you will need some elastic as well as some bias tape. I believe those are the only two things that you'll need in addition to the fabric and thread. So I highly recommend this one. It's very cute. If you like a short dress, I think this is one that pretty much anybody could wear, and it's just very cute. I don't know, I just think it's a really great spring dress. Now for myself, because I live in a cold place, I probably won't be making this for spring, but I think that this would be a fantastic dress for myself for summer. The next pattern that we have is Simplicity S8926, and this is a wonderful dress pattern that I've had in my stash for a while. I actually had planned to make a winter dress to wear with tights out of this pattern, and because my sewing plans are always more than the time that I have in a day to sew, it didn't get done. But I do think that this dress could be fantastic as a spring dress. You can make it out of the Ankara and it'll be flowy and cute. I love that it has voluminous sleeves, if you can see that, with I believe an elasticated wrist cuff, and it also has a gathered feature at the top of the dress. I think it's very sweet, and while this pattern is a value pattern, it comes with pants and a top as well. I think that focusing on the dress here, you would just really enjoy this pattern. It is a very easy pattern to make, and the only notions that you're going to need is elastic for the wrist cuffs if you make the dress version, which I think is fantastic. So if you're interested in making an easy short dress with long sleeves, this is the way to go. Again, these two I don't think you can go wrong with. The only thing is that they're not long dresses, they're a bit on the short size, but for my beginners, I think these are great selections. Okay, let's get into the next pattern. It is Simplicity 8910. This is what it looks like. You have three views here, and I'm focusing on the long sleeve at the knee view as well as this long version here. I absolutely think that this would be a fantastic pattern to use in Ankara because it is a voluminous dress. It also has this really wonderful pleating on the front and a really cool elasticated wrist on this dress. I like the option to make it long, but add the long sleeves for living in the Bay Area because it means that I'll be warm, but also very cute and comfortable. Another thing that I love about this pattern is that the back is completely closed off, and I'll show you what that looks like. Hopefully my camera focus is okay for you, but the whole back is closed up, which is fantastic for girls like myself that need to wear a real thick, sturdy bra. I really love the pleating on this dress, and I think that this is a dress that absolutely could be elevated with Ankara fabric, choosing the right print for spring, and it is very easy. I want to say that the only notion is thread, guys, and that's rare these days. I find like every time I fall in love with a pattern, it requires a ton of notions, but this particular pattern only requires thread, and I think that's fantastic. So again, another really easy dress. The next pattern is Simplicity S9057, it is this dress here. If you have a mini me, you can make yours and also one for your mini. I think that this is a really great, simple, easy dress to make, and it is one that can be worn every day. I think it's just comfortable. It has pockets. I love that it has this great skirt piece on the bottom that has gathers. It does require a button at the neck for the back closure. But other than that, it is a very straightforward, simple sew. I think that it would be really neat to make it in the short sleeve or the long sleeve, but it definitely would lend itself well for Ankara fabric, and I think that you could definitely elevate this because this kind of looks boring and homely in this picture, to be honest. But if you took a standout fabric that is just very attention grabbing and use that for this pattern, I think it would just really change the way this pattern looks altogether. I love that it has these really great pieces. The front part of the dress and the back part of the dress are actually raglan sleeve, and they're really large pieces, so you could use a large scale print, say a big flower in the center of your dress, and it wouldn't be cut off with different paneling in the front. I think that that would be a nice touch. I absolutely love that it comes with a mini version, so if you have a daughter, you can sew a matching one for her, or a granddaughter, or maybe you just like to make a dress to donate. I just think it's a very sweet pattern, and I actually have sewn the dress version for the little girl, and I gifted it to one of my childcare children, and she loved the dress, and it was very special for her. So anyways, it's a very easy pattern to sew, and I think that it would be a good option to use with Ankara fabric. The next pattern is Simplicity S9041, and this dress here has been out for a while. I think it's absolutely gorgeous, and I really love both the short version and the long sleeve version here. One of the things that I love about this particular pattern is that it has a very nice V-neck feature here, and also that the sleeves on the short version are meant to be flowy, and I think it would give such a cute fluttery effect by using the Ankara fabric. And then also the option to have it long or short really is nice. This particular pattern does require 1/4 inch elastic, but other than that, that's the only notion. And I think it's a pretty straightforward sew. I will say though, if you are making the long sleeve version of this dress and you are using Ankara fabric, it does require a lot of fabric. To be perfectly honest, all views require a lot of fabric, and that actually surprised me, the amount of fabric that it requires. So view A, being the long sleeve version of the dress, requires about 6 1/8 yards of Ankara fabric. If you make view B, which is the short sleeve version, it is 4 7/8 yard of fabric. And if you make view C, which is the no sleeve short version, it's like 4 yards of fabric. That is a ton of fabric, but it's because the dress has lots of volume in the skirt portion of the dress. So that is why it requires so much fabric. I just think it would be such a nice, comfortable dress to wear, and it would be a perfect for all occasions, work, church, wherever you're going. This is going to be a good pattern, so I highly recommend this one. Okay, now we're gonna go into the button-up dresses, and both button-up dresses I have made before, and these are tried and true, approved dresses by me. This first one I actually have made in Ankara wax print fabric, and I will insert pictures. I sewed this dress up for the August issue of Sewn magazine, and this is Simplicity S9114. It is a Mimi G pattern. I sewed all 3 views, but we're focusing on the dress here, and I will insert pictures so that you can see what this looks like as a dress. And it was absolutely beautiful. I don't think that I've ever received that many compliments wearing anything in my life as I walked around San Francisco taking pictures with my best friend. It's a really great dress pattern. It does require a lot of patience because there's lots of gathers in this guy. But once you get the gathers done, the only other thing that is timely is the buttons. But for the effect that you get in the end, it's worth the time, friends. It is worth the time because it is a showstopper. It's stunning, it's comfortable, it's beautiful. I can't say enough wonderful things about this particular pattern. Also, I do want to say that it has a very easy collar on this guy, and I don't think that anyone would struggle with making this dress outside of the fact that it requires a lot of time. But if you've never done gathers before, this is definitely one that I would say you really want to allow a lot of time for because there's a ton of gathers. But if you can get through it, you'll love your results. It's such a great dress pattern. The next button-up dress I have made a few of, and this is the Chili in the Buttons Lyra dress. I was a pattern tester for this particular pattern, so I haven't opened this one. They sent this to me after I pattern tested, and so the version that I've been working off of is the test version, so that's why it's not open, but I have made a couple and shared them on my channel. I love this pattern so much, and I have had the idea in my head to make this pattern out of African wax print fabric for a very long time. I already know which one I want to use. I just haven't found the time to actually get it done. But I definitely think that this is one that would be great for one of those paneling African wax print fabrics. The Ankaras that have the really nice thick borders you could use for the bottom tier. I think it would be such a wonderful touch. I personally want to do a short sleeve version of this dress with Ankara fabric. It is a very easy dress. I want to compare some things to you here. The dress is less voluminous to the Mimi G pattern, so you don't have quite as many gathers. Also, this one only has, I believe, 4 or 5 buttons here in the button placket. So it's definitely a quicker sew than the Mimi G pattern. This is what the short sleeve version looks like. I would make the short sleeve but make it long. I definitely love this pattern, and I think that it is a good, probably intermediate pattern. And I definitely think that anybody could make it, and I highly recommend it. I absolutely love the versions that I've created, and they get worn all year round. Now we're going to get into the midi maxi length dresses, and I have the Papercut Patterns Aura dress. I love this dress pattern. I haven't made it yet, but I've been wanting to make it for a very long time. This is a more form-fitting wrap style of dress, and if you're a person that is more on the sophisticated side, maybe a little less playful in your wardrobe, I think that this is a really good option for you because it isn't a ton of volume. You do have some fuller sleeves with elastic wrist cup. That is just a feature I really like. I don't know if you've gathered that from all the patterns that I've shared. I have a lot of patterns like that because I really enjoy that type of feature. But the actual dress itself doesn't have a big, gathered skirt on it. It is more tailored to the body. And I think this is a very classic look that you could wear for years to come. And I've definitely seen dresses that look similar to this in department stores. So even like Anthropologie, I think that this would be one of those style of dresses, only it would be unique and special because you're using Ankara fabric. And depending on the print that you choose, you could really stand out in this pattern. I really love this pattern, the way it looks, and I can't wait to make it myself, but I highly recommend it. And also it has a skirt version that goes along in this pattern. So if you want to make a dress, great, that's what we're talking about here, but you also have the option to make the skirt. The next one is a new pattern that I recently shared in a haul. This is
Beauty du Jour
No Me pattern by Mimi G, and I love this pattern so much. As you already know, I have taken the short sleeves and added it to a top, and that worked out really nicely. Love the construction of this sleeve. It is very unique and special. I love that it's swooshy. I love that it has these uneven tiers, that has a really cool design feature in the middle. I love that the short version has these enormous sleeves, which would be amazing in Ankara fabric because the Ankara fabric will keep the shape of this huge sleeve. I can't wait to make these sleeves again in the larger version, and I think both lengths are really fantastic, so you really couldn't go wrong with whether or not you decide to do a longer dress or a shorter dress. And this particular pattern requires a 24-inch invisible zipper, and it also requires elastic for the wrist cuffs or the arm cuff of the top. This is a really good pattern that I think would definitely look amazing in Ankara fabric. The next pattern I have here is Vogue V1798. I bought this specifically to make an Ankara wax print fabric, and guess what, guys? Cotton fabric isn't one of the options listed on here. It lists taffeta, poplin, silk twill. I didn't even think of any of those fabrics. When I saw this, to me, it was all about Ankara fabric. So I think it's really beautiful. Again, it has a really great sleeve option. It's loose, it's comfortable. I love the back V on this guy. It's just low enough to show a little skin, but not show your bra band, which I think is fantastic. Has a classic split in the front. and it's just cute. I love this. It looks very easy. The back does have some gathering at the waist, but the front itself is smooth and flat. I think it's fantastic. I think if you want a comfortable dress that has a little bit of playfulness with the back of this might be a good way to go. So if you've tried this pattern, I'd love to hear more information below. Let me know what fabric you used and if you agree that this would be nice in Ankara fabric. The next pattern is a pattern that I sewed at the beginning of my sewing journey. If you are a faithful person who watches all my videos and has been with me for the last 3 years as I started sharing my sewing journey, then you know about this dress. This is Vogue V1672. I made this version here out of this really nice swishy hot pink fabric, but I didn't realize that there was a difference between Vogue patterns, simplicity patterns, and McCall patterns as far as difficulty level. And this was a challenge for me, guys. It was a really serious challenge, but I got through it. And the only reason why I didn't end up wearing the dress is for 2 reasons. One, I didn't understand the sizing on this guy, and I actually ended up sewing the wrong size. So going forward again, I know I need to go up a size in order to make sure that it accommodates my bust and everything else. Also, it was the first time that I had installed a zipper with a lined dress because this dress is fully lined. So it was a challenge, but this is definitely one of those dresses that I know Ankara fabric would just really shine in. It has this humongous skirt portion of this dress, and it has a really great crossover feature on the front bodice of the dress. It's fantastic, and if you are an advanced sewer, I definitely recommend this one. I think that it would just be so amazing and beautiful. I actually had planned to wear the one that I made to a fundraiser dinner, and I was crushed when I couldn't fit it. And so this was the beginning of my sewing journey, so I wasn't with it. I didn't know that I needed to try it on at each step, because if I had been smart enough, I probably would have tried on the bodice before I even attached the skirt, and I would have realized that it didn't fit my bust at all. The other thing is that I didn't understand direction of the weave in fabric. So one of my skirt panel pieces, because there is several pieces in the skirt to make it more voluminous, I actually cut one of the panels on the bias instead of following the grain line. And I didn't realize that it would make a difference, so it actually made the skirt swoosh like this. Like there was a weird turn in the skirt at that panel piece, and it was interesting enough. I actually learned about that based off of making this dress, and a lovely viewer commented, "Are you sure you didn't cut that on the bias?" And I was like, what's bias? And so I had to actually Google bias to figure out what I did wrong. So definitely more of an advanced sewing project because it's fully lined, the back zip and all of that. But if you have the skill and you have the patience and the time, make it, because it would be so gorgeous. My feelings are still hurt about the way the dress came out and the fact that I worked so very hard on it. So I haven't revisited this pattern yet, but one day I will, and I just know that it would be fantastic in Ankara. The last dress that I have is one that I recently picked up on Etsy. It's called the picnic dress, and I'll show you what this looks like. This dress is actually a dress pattern that's created by another YouTuber. I will put her information in the information section of this video later. I love this dress because it kind of reminds me of the Indigo dress by Tilly and the Buttons, only this has a really nice princess seamed bodice, which I think is so beautiful and could be just very special and unique. And I love that it also has a short, small puff sleeve. So I think it would be really cute in an Ankara fabric, and I actually really want to make this one soon. I want to say this pattern was about $9. I'm not sure, but I think it was about $9 to $10. And while the instructions itself are pretty simple, this isn't like your typical indie sewing pattern where there's tons of illustrations. This is literally it. This is what you get. That's it. So it's not like a really hand-holdy type of pattern. However, for all of her patterns, she does have a sew along on her YouTube channel. So you can absolutely sew along with her. And one of the things that she mentions in her sew along, because I am that person, when I buy a pattern, even if I'm not going to sew it anytime soon, I watch the sew along. One of the things that she mentioned is that she likes to line her bodice. And I absolutely agree with the princess seam bodice. You probably want to line your bodice. My only issue is the way she went about demonstrating how to line the bodice. It is completely different than other ways that I've seen in the past. So I would not follow those instructions. If you've lined a bodice before, use a method that you've used in the past, because this one wasn't so great in my opinion. But it does give a beautiful, nice finish on the dress if you line the bodice. So definitely a great option, and I think in a really beautiful floral Ankara it would be fantastic. And the skirt on this guy is enormous. I will say that I don't think, after taping together the pattern pieces, I don't think that 45-inch width of fabric will actually be enough for the panels. So you may have to either add an additional panel in the skirt piece, or you may have to reduce the width just to stay within your fabric. That's my suggestion. Also, this will take nearly 6 yards of fabric because it's enormous. Now, the last pattern that I'm going to share with you is not one that I have printed out. It is a free pattern, and while I'm not participating in the challenge that's going around for everyone to sew free patterns using fabric in your stash, I still think it would be nice to share a free pattern, which is something I haven't been doing in this series. The dress is Viki Sew's Milana dress, and I like this one because it has a really cool neck feature. It is a mini dress, so it's not very long, but it's so cute, and the back details on this dress are really fantastic and flirty and cute. So if you are a person who likes a little dress with a lot of pizzazz, I think you'll like that one. And again, it is a free pattern. Well, those are all the patterns that I selected for the spring dress edition of Elevate with Ankara. I hope you enjoyed hearing about the patterns that I selected. I hope that you have some of these patterns and are considering using them for your next Ankara project. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to head over to Talisha's channel of Creativity by T so that you can see which patterns she has selected for this particular garment. If you are interested in checking out some of the other episodes in the Elevate with Ankara sewing series, please do take a look at the playlist below, and it lists all the videos that I have created for the series. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. Talk to you soon. Bye.